I do believe I'm outside your house, my friend. I can see you now. I'll turn round. You're the tour guide.
Am I going to fit in here or what?
Don't know, but here, you're blasting tunes out already, aren't you?
It's gone off in my pocket, pal, are you?
Alright, yes. Oh, thanks for doing this.
No problem.
Mr. Adam Fogerty. You relax as much as you want.
Well, I'm
You've
just
got
trying to get in.
Do you know what I mean? You can put yourself back.
That's
you know what I mean?
Now, mate.
Great part of the country here, aren't we?
Yeah, I love it. I love it up here for the simple reason, countryside. So you're sort of 2 minutes away from town, but you feel like you're countryside living, you know.
I can be kind of DJ for about 15-20 minutes and just,
right.
And we'll have a chat over it, why you like your songs.
It's funny, you know, because you said DJ, my dad used to have a nightclub, and when I was a kid, I got to go to disco, like school discos years above, because I used to borrow records from DJ to play the school disco, so, you know, it's all about what you know.
If you want any shades, there's a handful in there, just help yourself, yeah, I mean...
I don't think you'll have any that fit my big head, mate.
Yeah, if you see the size of my head,
I don't want to stretch it.
Oh, don't you worry, my head's massive.
Have the boss for starters.
I mean, literally, he's the boss, innit?
Well, you know, it's funny, like, because one of my first trips away from home, I was 15-year-old, you know, and my mum and dad let me go to a snooker tournament with a mate of mine who were trying to become a professional snooker player, and it were in Wales. But it was the first time I'd ever been in a bar where they had these video screens and you put your money in and you could pick up like a jukebox, but it actually played the video. And I loved dancing in the dark, and my mate were into George Michael's Careless Whisper. One must have spent a fortune in this bar just throwing 50p's and pounds in it to play these two songs. And weird thing, like years later, I got to have dinner with Bruce Springsteen.
No, you didn't.
I did, just you know, total with luck. It was I'd done a film called Green Fingers with Clive Owen and Helen Mirren, and the main lady behind the film was Trudy Styler, Sting's wife.
Yeah.
And I got to go to New York to the premiere, and it was at Trudy's. We all had to meet at Trudy and Sting's house overlooking Central Park, and he'd bought it off Billy Joel a few years before, and it was like some out of this world apartment. And I gets there, and there's all these celebrities there, but all of a sudden Bruce Springsteen walks in, and I thought, this is the boss is here, oh, yeah. And I'm trying not to embarrass myself, like, because I'm trying to have a little sneaky look at him, without him thinking, who's that staring at me, you know, me and my wife's there, like. And anyway, we went to see the film, and he sat behind me, a couple of rows behind me, not way through the film, I'm sort of trying to have a quick look back to see if he's laughing in right spots, you know. And after the film, we all got taken to this restaurant in New York. And me and the wife goes in, there's loads of tables, like about 10-seater tables. Yeah. And me and the wife goes in and we sits down. And all of a sudden, like, these tables start to fill up. Next thing, Bruce Springsteen comes, like, stands next to me and starts sitting down. And I said, Bruce, I said, it's nice to meet you. I says, I'm glad you've come and watched my film. I said, I've watched you enough times. And he went, oh, mate, you know, and it was just like talking to you, someone you'd known for years, you know, like, they say, don't they, you should never meet your heroes, but it was one of them, like, we talked about all sorts, and it was just like, you know, talking to someone who you'd known a long time. And I said, like, to him, I says, well, it must be brilliant, like, you're up there on stage and you're singing your songs and people are singing them back to you. He says, I love it. He said, I love performing. He said, I hate doing the videos for the songs.
Yeah.
We talked about changing babies, nappies, and he said to me, he said, what, you know, is this your full-time thing in acting? Do you have anything else? I said, I've got a fish and chip shop in Huddersfield. He said, oh, I said, I love fish and chips. He says, you know, he said, I was once doing a play in Paris. He says, and my manager knew I liked, you know, fish and chips. He said, I'm going to take you to a fish restaurant afterwards, Bruce. He said, they do the best fish and chips in Paris. He says, and we got there, he said, and this plate came out with like a tray over it, and voila. And he said, the fish were about that size, really tiny. He said, you got about 8 chips piled up. He says, you'd have needed about 6 to fill you up, like talking, you know. But it was just like fantastic, just sort of out of the blue. And it's weird, like, you know, because the acting game that I'm in comes and goes. You know, 1 minute you're on something and you never know where it's going to lead. So it's exciting, you know.
It's very exciting. Like, people don't know, obviously, like, you started out, I mean, which we'll get onto later, you know, when we go back to yours and stuff. You started off as a professional sports star, didn't you?
Yeah, well.
Boxing, rugby league, and now it's kind of, well, you got the fish and chip shop as well, which is unbelievable. Yeah, absolutely cool.
So from being young, we've had a fish and chip shop, and I used to go to school in Sorby Bridge, and I used to have to get the bus into town where my dad's fish and chip shop were on side of this nightclub.
Yeah.
So some days I'd get the bus into town, get a fish butty, then get the bus home and have my tea. So I think that's where the being greedy and overweight came from. This is my one, yeah. So I'm the chief tester, and that's why I'm so fat.
So these are the best fish and chips in the whole of the UK.
The world.
The world. We're going to go to the world. The secret is, and the biggest question is, haddock or cod?
Haddock. I think people, you get used to your own area, don't you? Where you brought up, that's the area you get used to. So if it's cod, I suppose you get used to cod. But haddock's a nicer fish. It's tighter, it's not as wet. So I've got a replacement for you today, look. Meet your new replacement.
Pick it up like that, yeah?
Yeah, that's all right.
This one?
Yeah.
This little baby here?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a natural. If the music industry stops working, you've always got a job here, Nova.
Am I allowed a few chips on?
Yeah, you're allowed a few, yeah.
We allow it.
There you go. Perfect. There you go. Salt and vinegar on that, sir? Yes, absolutely. Then what you do, you squash it down. It's all about.
Give it to someone else, not with your own hands.
Yeah, no, that's thank you, Sarah, thank you. How do you wrap it?
Do you want me to show you?
Don't leave it to professionals.
Right there. Over.
There you go. Can't wait to eat this. Perfect. I've never had an Hollywood actor in my car before, but I mean, I've had comedians, musicians, sports people, but it's so, I love, music's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I think it's one of the first things you learn to do, innit, when you're kids, like sing nursery rhymes, and you get into that. I think it gets you. You know, I've always loved music. I've even written songs.
Have you?
You know, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like,
I'm having a jam back at yours, is that what you're going to say?
No, you can do, you might not like it, but no, I think it's one of them, like, you know, I've always done tough sports in a way, that's just how it happened. But, you know, you play tough sports, don't make you a tough person. I've always liked writing poems and stupid stuff, like, to me, it sounds silly because I always liked writing lyrics, because I think that's my attention span. You know, they say, why don't you write a book? Well, I ain't got the attention span to start and finish a book. And I couldn't agree with you more, because music, I always associate different songs to where I were at a certain time. And this Meatloaf one, Bat Out of Hell, I remember as a kid going on my first school trips to Scotland somewhere, and the Meatloaf album Bat Out of Hell had just come out, and we were all listening to it on bus going there, you know, and I thought, oh, this is fantastic. When I was boxing, my dad's best pal in Isle of Man, Kevin Kelly, was in charge of the casino there, and Meatloaf played TT Week in the Isle of Man. And my dad's pal Kev, who's always been like Uncle Kev, like he's not my proper uncle, but he's always been Uncle Kev, he were in charge of the security, and they were playing the bowl in Douglas. My uncle's Kev's in charge of security, so he rung me up, and I'm in London boxing. He said, do you want to come and walk around with Meatloaf for 4 days in Isle of Man? I says, yeah, of course I do, yeah. So me and my mate Cass flies over to Isle of Man, and we're thinking this is going to be the excitingest 4 days we've ever had, you know, birds and all that, girls, and, you know, rock and roll, and, you know. And anyway, we met Meatloaf at the Manx Airlines, where the plane come in, and he comes walking out with his entourage, and they've all got these, like, shiny bomber jackets on. And they're all in red, his outfit, and he had a white one on. And on the back it had Meatloaf and sponsor Durex. So like as I'm like, we meet someone, gets him in the car, and we're driving to this hotel they're stopping at. And as soon as we dropped him at the hotel, like, you know, I said to my wife, I said, I'm gonna have some fun here. I said, they're even sponsored by a Durex company. And it were a slimming product from America. You know, but we had 4 days. He were in bed most nights for 10 o'clock. You know, he had his wife with him. I think he'd gone through his rock and roll years, you know, and he just went round looking at bikes. But we, on the day of the concert, they were at the Bowl in Douglas, which is an open air football pitch, really. And they'd set this stage up, and behind the stage were a caravan. So me and my mate stood outside this caravan waiting, and we walked him to the back of the stage. And it said, ladies and gentlemen, Meatloaf. Well, he tore on this stage. It was fantastic. He just, like, you know, I'd say show business. Yeah. He just turned it on. It was like this brilliant act. And it was fantastic. Just, you know, me and my mate stood back at the stage watching, like, you know. We had 4 days with Meatloaf. the most exciting thing we got up to, we're driving down this road and saw this sign that said Meatloaf Car Park. So he says to me, he says, would you mind getting that down for me? He said, I'll put that up in my car park when I get back to America. So I'm stood there with my mate on his shoulders and he's trying to undo this Meatloaf sign. So looking back, it sounds like I'm name dropping. Well, I suppose I am, but it's just the luck of the draw that I got to mix with certain people at certain times of my
But I don't think it is name dropping because you're not. It's not like we're talking about it. You're not showing off about it. You're very modest about stuff. It's part of your journey.
With the acting, I couldn't have been in a better place at the right time. I mean, at that time I was with Terry Lawless in London, and Warner Brothers did a film called The Power of One, and it turns out they were looking for a white heavyweight boxer to play this South African heavyweight champion, Andres Milan. And Terry Lawless had a business partner called Jarvis Astaire. Now Jarvis used to back a lot of West End shows and boxing shows. He'd be the money man that put the money up, and if they did well, he'd make money, obviously. But back in the early days, he used to manage Justin Hoffman, apparently.
All right.
And he were involved in the film game. So when they were looking for a white heavyweight boxer, someone in the film game must have remembered Jarvis and knew boxing people.
Yeah.
So anyway, they sent. It came around that they came to Jim to film me. Would I be interested in the part? And I'm like, yeah. Like behind the scenes, I'm saying to him, get me. I want to be in it. I want to be an actor. Yeah. And so it turns out I got this part playing Andres Milan, only through the fact that I was with Terry Lawless and Jarvis Astaire had this connection, and it just came around. But it was like opening a box of chocolates, really, because there were about 12 boxers that they picked, professional boxers, and we all got taken to this place to film it. You all had to have your own room, and it were a big Warner Brothers movie, so John Gielgud, Morgan Freeman, Stephen Dorff, and they were like big fish shark.
I bet you were like,
they were just like,
yeah.
Daniel Craig with his first film, so we were all there. We all had to have our own bedrooms, and it were like being treated like royalty. There were food on the set, and you just helped yourself to whatever you wanted. And I'm playing this South African heavyweight champion, and I had about 4 or 5 lines in the film. And one of the first scenes was breaking a fight up between Stephen Dorff and Daniel Craig. And I had to run in this gym and separate and say, no more, brother, no more, let it be, in this South African accent that they
Do South African accent?
Well,
look like that, don't they? Don't look good.
Yeah, it's not as good as yours.
So like Welsh.
It's a mixture, man. But that was the funny thing, because they sent me a month before to see this voice coach in London, and they said, they gave me this address, and I was getting paid to go. And after the first session, this voice coach says, yeah, that'll do, it's not too bad that, you just work on this, you'll be alright, don't bother coming back, don't tell them you're not coming back, then I'll get paid, you'll get paid, So I thought, yeah, that's alright. So, come to the first day of filming, and John Avildsen was the director who directed Rocky 1, Rocky 3 and Rocky 5, and John says, right, action. So I flies in, splits Daniel Craig and this, let it be, brother, let it be, no more. And John Avildsen went, cut. He said, just hang on a minute. So he goes, talking to someone else, comes back. He said, I don't like it. He said, it sounds too much like the Beatles song. He said, we're going to change them lines. We'll come back to this scene. And I'm thinking to him, oh, don't change lines, please. That's the only thing I've learned. Anyway, I didn't get sacked. I must have got away with it, but a little back to music as well, let it be, brother, let it be. I was so lucky because my dad took me to see Mike Tyson fight Larry Holmes. And Ali came in, and he was in we're just shuffling, and I got to shake
Muhammad Ali came?
And you'd have thought Ali were fighting on the night, because when he came into the arena, wow, the place just went up in uproar. It was like he were Ali. And you thought he were fighting, and he just shuffled in and sat in his spot. But it was brilliant. He stopped, had time for everyone during the day. This is when he came in. He stopped, and people were having pictures too, and he was moving like that, because of his problems that he had in later life. But he had time for people. He didn't have any bodyguards around him. Don Johnson came in with about 8 bodyguards around him, and straight through Ali, didn't he? He shuffled in slowly and got where he went. It was just brilliant to watch him.
feel privileged to be invited to your house. Thank you so much for doing
no
this.
problem. This is my little hideaway. That's meatloaf, and we had me and my mate Cass. Bill Murray.
Bill Murray.
Ghostbusters. I love memories. When my dad died, someone had this done for the funeral to put by his coffin.
Wow.
So, because my dad played number 11 for Halifax. My granddad, he played a local team in Oldham, Leeds, and so, the history of rugby runs in the family.
Green Fingers.
Yeah,
what films you were?
I did with for Trudy Style with Helen Mirren and Clive Owen. David Kelly, remember he played the one-armed waiter in Robin's Nest.
Yeah, and he was also in what's that lottery film he was in? Working Ned Devine, yeah. Didn't you kiss Helen Mirren in that?
Yeah. It was funny because it was last scene. The first scene we did, the first time I met Helen was at Hampton Court Flower Show, and the director introduced me to her. And she said, "Hi Adam, nice to meet you." She said, she looked up at the sky and said, "Do you think it's going to piss down?" I thought, I just relaxed her. I said, "Oh, no, it don't look too good, does it?" And she was just great, Helen, really lovely lady. And see, that's the thing I love about your game. Whether you're successful, whether you're Bruce Springsteen or not, it's still a way of expressing yourself, isn't it?
Adam Fogerty, I'm going to welcome you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you for showing us. It's like a behind the scenes of your life, really. Here on NovaMeets podcast. Thank you. I've heard so much about you. You are the person that people have described.
Thank you. Well, I hope you
No, it's genuine, modest guy, a gentle giant, kind-hearted, with some unbelievable stories, which we've already heard in the car. But like I said, thank you so much for Harry Heywoods chip shop as well. I mean, unbelievable. I'm just getting into this fish butty, which is delicious. So I'm just going to jump straight in. I mean, we spoke briefly in the car. Started off for you, Oldham. Born in Oldham. Came across the Pennines slightly.
Just over the hill, yeah. I think my dad weren't coming home straight away after rugby games, too many training sessions, late nights, and my mum said, "Listen, I'm going back to Halifax." And I think my dad had the choice of going back to Halifax with her or, being left in Oldham. So he come back to Halifax with my mum and grew up there most of my life. Then
out of school you went into being a professional boxer. Was that the kind of, did you always think, right, I'm going to be a fighter, I'm going to be a boxer?
No, I always liked watching boxing. I think it were one of them, I didn't know what I wanted to be. And to be totally honest, I loved Muhammad Ali when I was a kid, watching him, and then I saw the Rocky films, and something, it sounds silly, but something triggered in my mind that I fancy having a go at this. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I didn't come from a background where most great fighters, not that I was a great fighter, but most big name fighters have come from a bad background in a way, or a poverty background, haven't they? Well, I came from a great family background with great parents, but I think when something ignites you, I put a lot of time and effort into it. I was dedicated, I trained hard. I wasn't a natural at anything, and I mean, when I finished too early. I think I was 21. I was third in England, fifth in Europe, which for a kid that I didn't have any amateur fights. I just went straight professional, because at that time there weren't any really amateur heavyweights around, or you might get one fight a year. Mm-hmm. And outside the top, say 10 or 12 heavyweights in England, it was a bit like amateur anyway. So I went professional straight away and learned on the job. Learned in the gymnasiums, sparring and training. And my dad was a very laid back fella. I mean, he was a great rugby league player, but he was laid back, but he was one of them fellas, if you wanted to do something, he'd be behind you 100%. You want to be a boxer? Okay, let's go to New York, that's where all the good boxers are. And he took me to New York to train in Gleason's, in a gym called Gleason's. And that was just his attitude. My dad, he was laid back, and he wouldn't do it for himself in a way, but for his kids and family, he'd do out. He was one of them, he played for Great Britain, but he wouldn't go to reunions and stuff. The people would have to push him to go, and he'd enjoy it when he'd been like Nova, but he weren't front of the queue, give me a ticket, I'm coming. It was like, Fogger, you coming to this one, come on, and, all right, I would make excuses not to go. But like with me and my brother, he couldn't do enough. And my mum, obviously my mum as well. But it was just one of them, his attitude, right, you want to be a professional boxer? I'll put a show on in Halifax. And he did, he put a show on at the Leisure Centre in Halifax, got his promoter's licence, and put this boxing show on. And it was the same with acting years later when I was acting. You know, it said, I went to LA for beginning of the year where they do a lot of the castings for new shows they're starting. You know all about it, you've been all there. But, and I went there and having a look, I ended up with deep vein thrombosis, funny enough, I ended up in hospital. So my dad come over and I had to recuperate for about a month and a half before I could fly back. And my dad said, listen, if you want to do this acting game, why don't you get over here, write a play and put it on in the theatre over here, you know. But that was my dad's attitude, you want to do it, you know, get it done. And I'm saying, Dad, you can't just come over here and start hiring theatres, why not? You know, I said, well, it don't work like that, you've got to have work permits. By the time they found out, I don't know, you know. And that was just his attitude, that get up and go, so we'll do it.
Unbelievable supportive person.
Yeah, brilliant. And my mum was the same, you know, they were a team. But it was just that, there's no you can't do, you know.
Yeah.
You know, a number of times my dad was at gym. And one thing that always stuck with me, growing older, when I'd finished all my sports, and I was living in Spain, me and the wife, and we had Harry, his first son, in Spain. And we were sat in a bar one night, and my dad was in my corner for every professional fight I ever had. And he just one night in this bar, he says, I regret not pushing you a bit more when it came to it. He said, but I didn't want to push you. It had to be your decision to be a boxer. He said, the only reason I ever wanted to be in your corner was to be able to throw the towel in. You know, if I were getting hurt. And I'm like, you know, it never crossed my mind that. But that was the reason my dad took his corner licence out, because if anyone were hurting me, he was going to throw a towel in, you know, which...
Father-son connection.
Yeah, you know, and it like, I never even crossed my mind that. But now I've got kids myself, I understand that. Because I'd hate to sit and watch our Harry go into a fight, you know. And, you know, it's a part of growing up and learning, but I couldn't have had better parents, you know, I couldn't have had a better background. Upbringing.
The transition from boxing to rugby, how did that come about? Was it like, right, again, right time, right place, right time kind of thing?
No,
what was it?
The rugby, with my family background, my dad was a professional rugby league player. Toured Australia with the Great Britain team, and you know, so rugby had been in my blood. My granddad, I showed you the picture before, were a rugby league player and amateur. I think he had a couple of professional games at a low level, but rugby was my family background, you know, and that just seemed the natural progression as a kid. But then I got into the boxing, and you know, I went down that route, and I'd had, like I say, 20 fights, and I was ranked 3rd and 5th in Europe. And I had a bit of contract trouble with Terry Lawless and Mickey Duff, where they wanted me to sign another 3-year deal, but I still had a year and a half left to go on my old contract, which at the time I didn't think were right, so I thought I'll have a year and a half off, go play rugby and come back to boxing. So I went and had a trial at Halifax, got in, and all of a sudden I had 25 mates to train with, and you know, laugh and a joke sort of thing every session, rather than living on my own in London. And so that's how I fell back into the rugby. And I never went back to the boxing, because all of a sudden I was making a wage, you know, and I had a load of mates, and not the pressure of being in a single sport where people were, you know, everything came down to you really. You know, there's a big difference in between single sports and having a teammates to run out on a field with, and fun really.
We had an unbelievable career through rugby. Halifax, Warrington. You got a Super League medal with St Helens. I mean, St Helens were kind of the largest chunk, you'd say, you know what I mean, the most successful time through rugby.
And going back to what I said before about being lucky, you know, like my rugby league career, in a way I've always felt we're lucky. You know, I played at Halifax, I were an average run-of-the-mill forward. I had a couple of good games that year that, you know, against St Helens, and they came in for me at end of year. So in a way that were a bit lucky, because all of a sudden I went from playing with a load of lads that were great lads and 100% effort and tryers. One of two of them might have had natural ability, you know what I mean? Yeah. Where then I went to a team that were another set of great lads, where most of them had natural ability, as well as the work ethic. So it was like that little balance, stepping up, being lucky enough to step up, you know, that they came in for me and made me an offer. So that was a bit of luck again. Right?
And being surrounded by other great professionals as well.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I'm devouring the fish butty with a little few chips in. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely unbelievable. So I do apologise for munching down the camera and the microphone, but also I've been handed a cup of tea, which is a pinnacle partnership with any fish butty supper.
Oh, you need something hot.
However, the Huddersfield Town mug, I mean, I'm a Bradford
I
City
give you
fan.
that on purpose. I give you that on
but-
purpose to see if you'd notice.
Yeah, don't you worry. I was
Refuse
like,
to
should
drink
I
from
still
it.
drink this or what? What are you doing to
So
me?
I throw it over.
Yeah, but it's fine.
That's our Harry's cup, that.
Do you know what I mean? I wanted to Huddersfield do well in the Premier League, and do you know what I mean? But I'm a Bradford fan, just to clarify that. But anyway, this unbelievable journey through the acting, if it's film, if it's TV, I mean, musicians have discographies, you know what I mean? Albums,
Yeah, yeah.
on, you know what I mean? You
Yeah,
can see,
yeah.
you've got a filmography, which is pretty special, isn't it?
Well,
I mean, you're looking at what, I mean,
I
how
think
did,
it's pretty lucky again, because
again, pretty lucky.
I never went to acting school, just right place at the right time, and you know, so
But-
yeah, it's been lucky.
But you've kind of acted next to some unbelievable names.
I like to say they've acted next to me, actually.
Exactly. All right. But
You're right.
what an experience! What a journey! And did you ever think, when you first started, when you very first being on screen, did you ever think you'd get to the point where you're at now?
No, I mean, really, I'm learning every time, you know, and you never stop learning the acting game. I think I've always said you better be lucky than good, you know, because I have worked with some of the biggest stars on the planet, whether it's been 3 lines or 4 lines here, you know, but I've still been lucky to get the part, and, you know, so yeah, I mean, what is success? I don't know, you know, I mean, I've loved doing what I've done, and looking back on it, I've enjoyed it as it's happened, you know. And you never know, it's one of them things, I think, you know, they talk now about depression in sport and things like that, and I think I can understand it, because when you leave a career like rugby or boxing, and all of a sudden it's just normal life and you're not getting that adrenaline rush, I can understand where people think, geez, you know, whether you've made a lot of money at it or you haven't, you know, it's that buzz of what you've been used to most of your life. And a lot of sportsmen's careers finish young, don't they? Let's be honest. So if you've not, I think I've been very lucky that the acting, I've gone on to the acting, and I've still got that little bit of, like I say, playing Cowboys and Indians as a 50-year-old bloke, you know, who's 18-year-old in his head. So I've had that to carry on with after the sports. So I never really woke up one morning thinking, oh, it's all done now. Oh. Which I can understand why lads do, because let's face it, you're top of your tree in whatever field you're in, and you're playing that sport, and then all of a sudden someone takes the keys off you to that magic club that you're a part of and gang, and you're not allowed to be a part of it anymore, really. And you know, and, well, what am I going to do this week to get excited about? You know, because no matter what you say, sportsman, your adrenaline rushes when you walk onto that field and you're playing and you sports, and like you're walking onto a stage to sing and perform. You know, when that, you know, I can understand where the depression side comes from, but luckily for me, the acting was a great release for me to carry on doing, being involved in a dream, or involved in a gang, or being a part of something. And I think, you know, I've been lucky, very lucky. I've worked with some great actors who've had great careers. I mean, my career, I make no bones about it, in the acting front is a lucky career, because one minute I'm working, next minute I'm not working. You know, I'm not Brad Pitt. I don't go from one film to the next. I go from one job, maybe 6 months later, get another little job. You know, it's not, they're not knocking the door down to employ me as an actor, but I've had a good career, and it's, you know, when it comes up, I enjoy it.
People don't know.
No.
You got an agent, and obviously they're always looking. So the more material you obviously been in, it's kind of, that's your CV, isn't it? That's your resume.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, me, I'm a bit different because of the size of me, the look. We talk about being typecast and things like that. You know, most of the time I've got to play a heavy or some meathead who's, you know, you don't get the lover boy roles. Yeah. But when they do come on, like Green Fingers, it weren't a lover boy, but it were a nice character. Okay, we're a meathead or an ex-prisoner. but it's nice to play away from type, as in what they expect you to be, you know, a heavy or a...
Yeah.
So when them jobs come on, yeah, they're great, you know, but it's one of them, you have, you know, you have meetings, you have people offer you jobs, and that's great, you know, but it's not like Hollywood. Yeah, I've been in some good Hollywood movies, but it's not, I'm turning scripts down left, right and centre.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
when they come along I enjoy it, because it's different again.
How do you find learning lines and stuff then?
Hard.
Yeah.
I think it's just a brain thing with me. Once they're in, I'm okay. But I've laid in this room in pitch black. I did a play, Shakespeare play.
Shakespeare?
Yeah, tour of Shakespeare, and to tell you the honest truth, for the first month I didn't even know what it were about. And I'd spent months learning it. But it's like a different language, isn't it? You know. And Love's Labour's Lost it was. And I played a character called Costard, and he's on the stage more. He's got most in it really, part lines, and I was just laid in this room learning it and going over it and over it, and I knew every line, every word. I knew a lot of other people's words as well, because I was that petrified that I'd get there and not be able to do it. So before even rehearsals started, I'd learnt everything, but it took a lot of just repetitive ba-boom, 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 you know. I'd love to have that mind that can read something once and just remember it.
Like one of the films that stick out, I think it's one of the, I mean, Snatch was unbelievable. Gorgeous George part.
Yeah.
And the scene where you have a scrap with Brad Pitt. I was watching it last night again, just to kind of refresh the memory. And when you fell, Golden Brown kicks in. It's just like the music placement as well for that scene was unbelievable.
It was funny, because that scene, I had a friend of mine, Errol Fuller, and Errol's wrote books with, about birds and extinct animals. His last book was with David Attenborough. And great lad, but he's a bit like Indiana Jones, you know. He goes on all these little expeditions, like for looking for the lost bird of paradise. And he's a right character, but he's in that scene, the last scene of where they're seeing Golden Brown.
Yeah. I mean, Brad Pitt, can you remember that first initial meet you had with Brad?
Yeah. No,
what was that like?
It were. You got to remember, Brad Pitt didn't make it till he was 28-year-old, and he'd been doing all sorts of jobs in Hollywood apparently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, driving strippers around and delivering pizzas or whatever. You know, so when I first met him, he was staying at Sting's house, because Trudy Styler were involved in Snatch as well, and he was staying at one
Connections.
of. Yeah. That's how I got the job. I did Green Fingers, and then Trudy put me forward for Gorgeous George in Snatch. I was stopping at my friend's Errol's house, and they sent this car to pick me up to take me to meet Brad Pitt. We were going to rehearse the fight scenes.
In Sting's house? At
Sting's house. Well, in London. I forget what it was, but it was a lovely house. Got there, and I knocked on the door, thinking someone will open it, and Brad Pitt opened it. And he looked at me and said, "You must be gorgeous." And I says, "Yeah." I says, "Nice to meet you." He says, "Come here." He said, "Do you want a cup of tea?" You know, like he must have thought, you know, it's the first thing you do in England is offer someone a cup of tea or a drink, you know. So I said, "Yeah, I love one, yeah." You know, so we went in and he introduced me to his bodyguard and his agent, and luckily I knew the stunt coordinator. I'd worked with him on a film before, Tom Delmar. So he says, "Right, Adam," he says, "we're going to go into the back garden and we'll set up, we'll rehearse the fight scene there." Like, you know, I said, "Oh, brilliant, yeah, right." And Brad Pitt had this not all in one, but like a tracksuit bottom and a tracksuit top, like the shiny sort of, looked smart, don't get me wrong.
Shell suit, kind of.
Like a shell suit, but I don't know, it was better than a shell suit. And anyway, he goes into the back garden, and Tom Delmar says, "Right, Adam," he says, "in this scene, first scene," he says, "Brad's going to be on all fours, and you'll come in, you'll grab him under the armpit, and you'll grab him on the inside of his thigh, and we're going to strap this handle to the inside of his thigh, so that you'll be able to lift him up, and the camera angle will look like you've got him by the privates and by the throat, and you'll throw him against the fence." I said, "Right, magic, yeah." They said, "Right, action." So they'd strapped this handle inside this shell suit to his leg. So I goes in, grabs him under the arm, grabs this handle, goes to pick him up, and with him having a shell suit, my hand slipped straight into his privates. Well, I've never seen anyone move as fast. He jumped up like, whoa, man. I said, "Sorry, man." I said, "Yeah." So within like 10 minutes of meeting Brad Pitt, I had him by the
By the privates?
By the privates.
That's something I thought of. What did you think of his Irish accent during the film?
I thought it was good. I thought it was clever, you know, because he'd done... there's two sides of accents in Ireland, isn't there? Well,
yeah.
Northern and Southern. And he'd done the other one in a film that he'd just been out playing an IRA gun runner. So he wanted to do the Pikey accent, made it harder for himself, really. And I thought he did a cracking job.
Yeah.
You know, at the time, I didn't realise, because like, I was struggling to understand them, you know, hear it, like, you know, but it's quite comical in the film, isn't it, that you're not meant to understand.
No.
You know, but no, I thought he did a cracking job. But he was a great, down-to-earth lad, you know, which I liked, you know, because he was a bit of a chain smoker back then, and he was seeing Jennifer Aniston, and she turned up on set one day, and she's absolutely beautiful, but in real life, when you see her done up, because I mean, I've only ever seen her in Friends, where she's playing the girl next door type without the makeup, isn't she, and she's still beautiful in that, but when you see her turn up back then, and well, she's still beautiful now, but with all the makeup on her, you know, I'm like, wow, she's absolute stunner. And Snatch were great because a lot of them people had been in Lockstock.
Right.
You know, so they were all mates, and it was good banter. When, you know, there's a lot of time killing between action and, you know, filming stuff and then waiting to do the next scene. So some of that time you might spend in your trailer, but like on Snatch, it was brilliant because they were playing cards and, you know, they were banter, you know.
Well, a handful of films you play with somebody that I've always been a massive admirer of, Stephen Graham.
Stephen, yeah.
Like, great actor in it, like, just
brilliant.
His approach on camera, but his delivery and everything like that. I mean, but you two seem to hit it off, even when you're working together.
Great actor. And like Stephen, like the first time I'd ever heard of Steve was when we did Snatch, you know, and I'm playing his big dumb sidekick, you know, and great. It's great to see he went straight from Snatch to work with the big famous American actor, Band of Brothers. Went off working with a fantastic big Hollywood director, Scorsese.
Yeah.
You know, and Martin Scorsese took to him.
Gangs of New York, yeah.
Great, you know.
Unbelievable. Again, that on that delivery.
DiCaprio and,
oh my gosh.
You know, people. I mean, he's worked with some of the biggest stars in the world, playing parts that you kill for. And his latest one that hadn't come out yet, when we were doing Walk Like a Panther, he was going straight on to one with Tom Hanks, playing Tom Hanks' sidekick, and Tom Hanks had asked for him especially, you know, because there were all sorts of people lined up for this part, they wanted to play this part, but Tom Hanks wanted Stephen Graham, and which is a great, you know, so it's done that, playing, it's like a war film, where he plays this sidekick to Tom Hanks, and straight from that he's gone on to another Scorsese movie where he's with De Niro, all the big like American actors that were in Casino, you know, all these like top
Joe
stars,
Pesci
Joe Pesci, and it's a true story about a gangster's lifestyle.
Is that the one that's going out on Netflix?
Yeah, and he's playing one of the main, the New Yorker, I think it's called, or something, the American, but he's playing one of the main characters in it, and like, you know, you just think, go, you know, good luck to you, well done, mate. You know, because he's from Liverpool area, and Stevie set off chasing his dream, like we were talking before. You know, it just shows that the more you try, the luckier you can get.
Was it like working with Vinnie Jones in Mean Machine?
Great.
You played Mouse.
Yeah, and that's what the nickname, they call me Mouse now, Vinnie. You know, Vinnie's great. He took me under his wing. I think he liked it because I'd come from a sporting background, trying something new. He'd come from a sporting background. Great fun to be around, you know, lovely family, Tanya, who's sadly just passed away, you know, but great family, because I think sportsmen, you learn not to be too cocky or arrogant or that, because someone will always knock you down, you know. I think that's something that happens naturally coming through sports. And, you know, I just hit it off with Vinny, brilliant, looked after me, I spent time with him in LA, and, you know, always pushed me for jobs. You know, I went doing a film in Bulgaria. I got a phone call from Vinny. I was living in Spain, and I got a phone call from Vinny in America, and I'm watching Coronation Street in Spain, laid on settee.
As you do.
And the telephone goes, and Mouse, I said, "Hi, Vin," like the character name from. He says, "Mouse," he said, "I've got a big fan of yours here who wants to have a word with you." I says, "Who is it?" He said, "Steven Seagal." I said, "Stop messing about," and all of a sudden this voice come on. Like, "Hey, Mouse." I said, "Hello." I thought it would take him, you know. He said, "This is Steven. I want you to come over here and do a film with us in Bulgaria, you know." I said, "Yeah, all right, yeah." Thinking, you know, sorry about language then, but anyway, I was thinking, I said, "Yeah, all right, I will do," like, you know. And I, like, Vinny come back, "Mouse, I'll ring you later," you know, and he put phone down, so I put phone down, thinking, well, within 2 days, I'm on a plane to Bulgaria, you know, to do this Steven Seagal film, and it's called Submerged, and just little stories like that, you know. He looked after me, he was brilliant, you know. If he were on a job and he could get me on it, he got me on it.
Still keep in contact with Vinny then now?
Yeah, every now and then, like, you know, Vinny obviously moved to America, but you know, it was terribly sad to hear about Tanya, because she was just the best host, you know. She opened her house to anyone, as in, you know, if Vinny invited you there, you struggled to get away. You know, I went there when we started filming Mean Machine for a party on I think it was a Sunday afternoon, and I would been staying in a caravan because it were easy for me. I bought this caravan because they offer you the per diems, you know, to stay in a hotel, or which are normally good, you know. And I had this caravan, and I thought I didn't want to stay in an hotel, you know, you're never in it. So I parked this caravan right near the sets. So we're doing Mean Machine, and I goes to Vinny's house for this party on the Sunday. Well, that were it. "Mouse, you're not going, you're staying in that room there. You can't be staying in that caravan anymore." And he wouldn't let me go home, and Tanya wouldn't, you know, and they just, brilliant, you know, like, just opened the family up to me, and, you know, the rest were history.
The latest film, 2018, Walk Like a Panther, didn't it have the Rick Astley music video with it as well?
I was depressed about that, because I wrote a song for that and they never used it.
Really?
They went with Rick Astley.
I don't, you know what, first time I saw the video last night.
I'm a good dancer, aren't I?
Very good dancer. You look great, you know, it's like a...
Spandex.
Spandex, lycra kind of thing.
Done one since then,
right,
called A Very British Christmas for Hallmark in America. That was filmed up here, up the north,
right,
in the north, where I play a baker who's in charge of the local choir comedy. It's a very good part, and I love it because I'm playing away from character of being not that I am a thug, but I'm not expected to be a thug or a hard man or you know, I'm just playing this village baker who loves music and loves being the leader of a choir.
How do you find the accents?
Alright, because it's like, you get that much time to work with them if they want you to do an accent. So it's not like you're having to learn, you know, it depends how much you have to do, I suppose, in a movie, how many lines you have, but even if you're playing the main leads, you've got enough time to learn it and how to do it in that accent. I think it helps if you've got a good ear for it, obviously. Some people have an ear for it, and I don't know, I just wing it.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, it's been great.
It's been an absolute
Thanks.
pleasure. I like to finish
Thanks
off
for having
with 10 of the best. You know what I mean? I'm not going to hit you out like that. I'm just going to throw 10 things at you, and you just tell me the first thing that comes to your head. You can go into detail why you're saying that. But it's entirely up to you. Stop looking at cheating. Right. Adam Fogerty, here are your 10 of the best here on NovaMeets podcast. Dog or cat?
Dog.
Bacon or sausage?
Bacon.
Brown or red sauce?
Brown.
Favourite holiday destination?
Australia. I spent a bit of time in Australia as a young man. Like I say, I fought out there as a professional boxer and that, and I loved it. I loved the people. I loved the lifestyle.
Sydney then?
Sydney,
Yeah. Night in or night out?
I am a night in person. I can't get excited and try and say I'm rock and roll, Mr. Lifestyle. I like being in. My dad said something to me which resonated with me. Like, you know, when he was pooling, my dad, like, at the end of his life sort of thing. But he said, "I want to go home, Adam." He said, "I'm a home bird." And I thought, yeah, I am. I'm an home bird.
Favourite food?
Fish and chips, cooked breakfast, spare ribs. How long's the list? I didn't get to this size being choosy.
A selection then, yeah?
A selection, Chinese, curry.
Favourite actor / actress?
I always liked Dustin Hoffman because of his ranges. He doesn't stick, you know, like from Tootsie to Rain Man and
Meet the Fock. talkers. Who are in that one,
Yeah. And I think I think that is the art of being an actor, to papillon.
Yeah.
I think that's the art of being a world-class top actor, when you can change and play anything.
Favourite film?
I liked one with him in it, Accidental Hero, where
I've never seen it.
you want to watch it. I suppose it's about a bum who's trying to prove to his son, or get back friendly with his son, and his son's young, but he's in and out of trouble. I don't want to tell you too much because you've got to watch it. It's
Accidental
real
Hero.
Accidental Hero.
Can you cook?
I can cook, but I can do a good Sunday dinner.
That's fantastic.
But you don't have to be that good these days, do you? With Aunt Bessie's mash. But
shh, come on. One second.
No, it's true. I can do a good Sunday dinner. I can make fish and chips. I know how to do that. I spent a lot of time going around America looking for these different players, staying in different hotels, and at times I had just killed for something like beans on toast with grated cheese and a fried egg. And you've got all this menu to look at, and you think, I don't want another steak. I just want egg on toast.
So Adam Fogerty, your last question for the best of the 10. You're making your Sunday lunch, and there's 3 places at the end of this table. Dead or alive, who are you inviting?
Dean Martin.
Yeah.
I'd like to have a good chat with him and listen to a few Rat Pack stories. And from the little bits I've heard, he was the only one that Sinatra couldn't handle.
Yeah.
Wouldn't jump to Sinatra's tune or whatever, apparently. So I should imagine he'd be a good...
Dean's there, you just put a roast potato on his plate.
Yeah, he's having one. I'd like God, because a few questions to ask him. Why did you invent serial killers? What else can I ask him? All the theories, these who killed Kennedy. Elvis. I'd like to have had 10 minutes with Elvis, seeing where it went wrong, because, what was it, wasn't it? The first great, in a way, in the rock and roll. Well, he wasn't the first great, but I think, 42 when he died. You know what I mean? And you think, geez, how did that happen? Where did it get that lonely that there were no one around you to help you or guide you a little bit better? You had the world at your knees, you had everything, you had the looks, the talent, but even Elvis couldn't handle being Elvis.
So you got Dean there on the right.
Yeah.
God at the top of the table, Elvis on your left.
Yeah, I could ask God that as well. How did you let him go?
Yeah.
Like
What are you doing, God?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And Dean Martin drank himself to death. Why did you let that happen?
So, you know what I mean? But it's a musical connection in a way.
Yeah.
And then you've got yourself, Adam Fogerty.
Yeah. A few questions to
that
answer
is
there.
I mean, no pressure on the Sunday lunch and all. All right.
No, dinner. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sunday dinner, but
Dean wouldn't take much feeding, would he? He'd just want a bottle of something, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Elvis, a couple of pills and a bit of...
Yeah.
God might be a different man. He's had it all before, so...
Listen.
Cooking's not hard.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you for the
Seriously,
invite.
Adam Fogerty, sports star, actor, but you know what, down and out, unbelievable character. It's been a pleasure to spend the afternoon with you. Seriously, thank you so much for inviting me. Driving around in the car. Fish shop, Harry Heywoods, check it out. Literally, what does that tell you?
Yeah.
Delicious. Best fish and chips.
I forgot to charge you for it.
It's fine.
You got away with the free fish butter.
There you go. But thank you so much. Best of luck to you.
I enjoyed it, Nova, and best of luck to you and the group and this podcast series. And
thank you so much.
Good luck with it, man.
Top man, Adam Fogerty. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Goodbye.